Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and I'm back with another jelly plate play. So, before I start, there was one thing I just wanted to share with you. I was watching someone who is a jelly plate artist on Jelly Art, their website, and she said something I found really interesting. When you buy a jelly plate, it has these plastic pieces that we all normally keep on either side. And she said not to use those, but to use a piece of cardstock or paper, because if you trap air bubbles between the plastic coating and the jelly plate when you store it, it could leave marks. And actually, I have one or two of those marks on here, not the bubbles underneath here, but there's faint circles, and I didn't know what they were, and that was it. So I'm changing to putting one of these either side of my jelly plate and then putting it into its hard plastic sleeve for storage. So there you go, that's that. I'm happy with that. So what are we doing today? Okay, first of all, let's start the timer. I'm really bad at adhering to it, but at least it's a reminder that I needed to stop. I'm today dealing with those 12 by 12s that we don't really want to use. And I thought, right, let's see what we can do with some of these. Now, these happen to be white on the back, but I'm going to use this side because if I don't like the cardstock, it's usually because of this side. If the other side's white, then that's fine. If the other side has a more plain pattern on it I do like, then I can always change the other. So I thought, right, let's use some of these up, because goodness knows I've got enough. So we're going to dive straight in. If you want to know the equipment I'm using, go and watch my video, which is what's in my jelly plate drawer, jelly plate printing drawer, something, you get it. Look for jelly plate drawer in my playlist, this playlist, and you'll find it there. So word of warning I would say is, if you're going to get something like this, try to put a similar colour over the top, and then this will knock this into the background and make it more sense. If you were to put green on this immediately, believe me, it would not look pretty. So bearing that in mind, I've got my brayer here. I sometimes brayer onto here and put the colour onto there. I sometimes go directly onto there. So whichever works for you best. But we're going to start with some pinks. So as always advised, make sure you shake your paints before you put... Oh, that was just wrong immediately. This is not going to be a good start, is it? Right, let's get that cleaned off, because otherwise that will become a crusty bit in the future and I will never be able to open the pot. Now, my aim is I'm going to do 5 of these. I've also got, that's probably going to need a wash later. I must remember that one is there and I'm already covered in stuff. I've also got a couple of sheets of sticky labels, by the way, because that's one of the way I clean my brayer off, or pieces. I also roll my brayer off onto these to clean them off. So there are items around here. So we'll put that down there. This is a bit of a vintage colour. I wonder whether it's that colour inside. Yeah, a little bit of a vintagey colour. What I tend to do is, when these containers become almost empty, I will then use them to put other partly emptied pieces in. So I sometimes, even though the bottle looks like one colour, it actually is several colours mixed in, and I don't mind that. I'm not doing a specific colour match to anything. So I'll put these on here. I'm just going to roll this down. I've got 3 different colours in here, if you want to call white a colour, which I always get confused whether black is all colour or the absence of colour, and white is all colour, which I think it is, or the absence. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things. So I've got a heavyish coat on there, so I'm just going to get some of that off. Just like that, and I think that's a bit of paint goober. Let's get a damp cloth in so I can wipe my hands on it. So I'm not doing anything at the moment except just creating a background for myself. And I'm taking some of this brayered paint and I'm just rolling it on my labels so that I've got the start of some colour. There is a video that I filmed that is actually due out, or it may already be out by now, that is jelly plate labels. So I've just put that on there and I'm just gently running my fingers over it. I don't want it to lift everything off, but what I do want to do is that I want it to knock everything into the background. So that's the first one. Sorry if I fade in and out while I'm bending over and talking, and I'm sorry, I can't help that, but I've got stuff all over the place. Now I'm going to use this one, which is also pink, And this time I'm going to press a little harder to get a more definite amount of paint off this jelly plate. So I use the little one, by the way, because I'm notoriously bad for putting too much paint on my jelly plate. I'll work my way along here because I know this one's going to be stuck quite firmly. And up you go, without knocking the camera. So there you go, I've knocked it into the background a little bit. This is going to take quite a bit more work, but that's put some interest on the page. So, right, now let's see, I've got 2 of this colour, so we might as well do something interesting with this. I'm probably not going to clean my plates off, I don't mind at this point. I do want to make sure I don't go too dark with stuff. I sometimes get to the point, and if you watched my other videos, you'll probably have noticed, I get to the point where things get a bit muddy on me, and that's so not my intention. I'd like to keep things light. I'd like this paint to come out of the pot. So I'm going to just give myself a couple of shades of this sort of colour, which is very reminiscent of this colour. And I'm going to ombre it, so I'm going to start rolling here, and I'm probably going to have a bit of pink on my roller. Am I still in shot? I am still in shot. There you go. I'm going to start with the lightest colour, which in this case is obviously white. I'm then going to work into the middle colour, and then I'm going to continue on to the darker colour. Now, I usually find the darker colours take more working to get mixed in or put on the plate, so just know that that's kind of natural. So I'm going to roll this off on my labels just to give, because you don't want to start with that colour when you re-roll this colour. For obvious reasons, you will end up with contaminated colours, but I like to just make sure that's all nicely, smoothly done, which that is. Now, I don't want a huge print like before, like the previous one. I just want to give it a bit of a touch just to lift some of this off. And then I'll pull this away. See, it's given me something to work with. Now, as I've got that, I obviously don't want the same thing twice. So I'm going to come this way and just work this across a bit, just to even this out a bit. And what this will do is this will just make this other one more of an even colour. Oh, or I could just drop that right down on top of that. And I'm going to give it a bit of a press down. Now, I don't mind that I've got it on a funky angle at this point. I mean, as we work, all of the edges are going to end up being covered anyway. So pull that away. That's sticking quite nicely because I let the paint dry a bit. Again, we've knocked it back. Now, even if I used it like that, to me, that's far more interesting than it was before. Right, so I've got one more, which is this one. And I think I'm going to live a little bit on the wild side, and I'm going to make this one greens and yellows, purely because I can. So now, if I'm putting colours on, let's see, if I was to put red and blue on here, it would turn purple. If I want to keep things in the green range, the only colours I would probably use are green itself, blue, and then a lighter colour that goes with it, because obviously blue and yellow make green. So it's worth bearing in mind things like that. So I think this pot's running a little bit low, and I'm going to put a bit of a dark green over here. Just paint goobers everywhere. I know really I should actually just come in and clean all the tops of my pots up before I start, but to be honest with you, I'd lose the will to live if I did that every single time I use them. So I'm going to come in. I'm not really looking for ombre. I'm not looking for a blend from right to left, but I do want some differentiation. That's not easily said with these teeth. Between the darker side of the page and the lighter side. So as you can see, I'm not pressing down on my roller, guys. I'm letting the weight of the roller do it for me. So just trying to get a nice even colouring on there. Let's clean that off on there. We will clean that jelly, the smaller plate up as we go along. So this is quite a fresh leaf type of green colour, and I quite like that because it will look good. If any of that background pattern shows through, it will look really nice on there. So again, let's take this off the plate. There you go. See, now all of a sudden that's really turned into a nice piece. I'd probably leave that section as it is, to be honest, but we'll do more because that's what we're here for. So now that we've got this on the plate here, and I've got this one, I'm going to put a little more of this colour onto the plate to try and lift that green off, to give me, how do I word this, a little bit of a cross match between the colours, because as I said, blue and yellow make green, and this is almost a blue, and this is a green. So I'm going to come in and put a little bit here. Now I'm only putting a little bit of this colour on because I don't want to swamp the thing with colour again. I just want enough to be able to lift this colour off. It's also worth saying here, I normally only work in acrylics, but you can do jelly plate work with other mediums as well. I've just always done it with acrylics. And there are, as far as I know, take that out of there, as far as I know, there are 3 different types of paints. There's transparent paint, meaning you can see through it, but it will still add colour. There's semi-transparent, which means it's not as transparent as the other one. And then I think the other word is opaque, but I'm really bad at knowing the correct words. So just know that there are 3 different sorts. I like semi-transparent paints if I can get them. If not, to be honest, I'll use whatever I'm given. So right, I'm hoping this has lifted some of the green off to give me a little bit more interest in the middle. It's got green in here, that's fine. And I like the fact that that's really faded into the background now. Okay, I think we're at the point where we now need to start considering putting detail on here. Now, I'd kind of forgotten about this mini plate, so if I give it a good old roller, whatever paint is on my brayer... Oh, sorry about that. I knocked a clock over. We'll just lift off it, and then I'm going to clean my brayer just by wiping it with a slightly damp cloth, just because I've left all of that so long that it wouldn't have made anything nice anyway. So, right, I think that's okay. Right, I think we're at the point now where we need to start working on the layers, and it is all about the layers. But as I've said before, I'm not an expert. I'm just someone who does this and I enjoy it. And when I asked my followers whether they wanted to come along and join and watch me as I did it, they all said resoundingly yes. So I'm not doing this as a tutorial. I just explore and experiment as I go along. But there is one thing I actually discovered when jelly printing. I think that's my last one. So sorry, these are just some of the cleanup ones. I need to find an example of what I'm going to tell you. Let's see if I can find one that will do it. It's funny, I do it all the time and I've just realised it and now I can't find it. Maybe that one will help. Sorry, I didn't think to prep this bit before. You see, you'll see the ones that haven't made the grade yet, basically. These ones need more work. Maybe we'll do that in one of the videos. I'll bring out all of the ones who didn't make the grade and we'll have a look through and see what they've shown. Why can't I find what I'm looking for? Does it sound like I'm about to throw a tantrum? I feel like I'm about to throw a tantrum. Right, I think the one I pulled out might be enough of a share for you. Okay, I have found out that when I stencil, I always forget that the bit that's exposed on the side will also transfer. So when I'm going to use stencils this time, I'm going to use my spare papers to mask the bits so that I only lift the bits that are in the middle of the stencils. It'll all make sense when I show you what I mean. And I think we're going to do that with the very first one. So I'm going to come in with a stencil. Let's use this. I haven't used this one before actually, so let's use that one. So what piece do I want to do for a start? Let's use this one. Right, we're staying very much in a theme here. And that's quite a dark version of that. And I'm wondering whether I need to... I almost feel I want to break away from this, but then my gut is saying no, go ahead with it. Let's go ahead with it then, Griffiths. Okay, so again, shake, 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 shake. Make sure that you've got the paint shaken up, shaken up. I can't speak. This is not going to be a good video, people, if I can't speak. So I'm going to put this on. Now, I didn't put a lot on because I was aware that I didn't want to put a lot on. I only need enough really for the stenciled area. If there's any left over on the plate afterwards, I can always brayer it across or use it as a clean-up for something else. So, as I said, I'm not pressing down hard, guys. I'm just giving the weight of the brayer its free run. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this down and I'm going to purposely place it up against the edge there. That means that edge will be clear. However, if you look around, the other edges won't be clear. So this is what I mean by I'm just going to come in and mask off the other areas, just that the only bit I pick up is the bit I'm intending to pick up. Now I know that's probably rocket science, but it's taken me a long while to work out how to do that. So now when I come in, I can place this wherever I wish. And if you've got a thicker cardstock or paper stock, this I believe is 250 GSM. Don't know what poundage that is. Sorry if you're an American watching me and you work in poundage. I've never worked in poundage, so I don't actually know what that means. I do use various different weights. Actually, this isn't 250. This isn't my regular stuff. Okay, that's interesting. I quite like the way that pulled all of that up, actually. It's got these squidgy marks in the middle. I've got enough on there. I think I can get another pull. I'm going to use this bit, which is really quite a dark colour, and see if I can't lift some of this out of there onto that. I'm not pressing hard. I'm just making sure that I'm pressing firm enough to get the paint out of the diamonds in the middle. There, that's nice. Another bit in the middle of there. Now what that means is when I lift this off, I don't have the bits left on the plate other than the bits I wanted left on the plate. So if I now lift this one off, I've got that pattern down there. Now I could roll that again, but I think I might want to come in and just use that. Let's use it on this one. This is the green one that I did. And this is what I would call a ghost print. And by ghost print, I mean it's not the first pull. And a pull is this. A pull is lifting it off the page. Okay, that's cute. I'm liking that one already. So, there's still a bit on there. Do I want to do anything with it? I don't know that I do. So I'm just going to let that one sit for a second while I pull the next piece up and see what we're going to do. Okay. This one, although it was a second pull, hasn't really got enough on it for me as even a starting point. So I think I need to work out what do I want to put in here. Now I've sort of got an inkling. I want to put something like dark sienna on there. Is that dark or burnt? I always get this is a new one to me, burnt sienna. Quite like the idea of that. And maybe that sort of fawn or mushroomy type colour. I wonder whether this one's light. So I've got several to, oh right, okay. We're going to go with this one, which is mushroom. So as with everything, I'm just playing here. Now, oh, that's very watery. I obviously didn't shake it. So note to self, always shake your paints unless you're in the tube, because that makes it incredibly hard to shake them. So just going to give this a bit of a shake. There you go. Now I'm going to put this on my smaller jelly plate over here because I want a thinner coating of paint. I am quite bad. Oh, it's a nice rich colour. I'm quite bad at putting too much paint on my jelly plate. And for me, this is a way that I can moderate that, because what I'm doing is I'm loading my brayer, and then once I've loaded my brayer, I can come across. Now, I'm not planning to do ombre. I'm just planning to get a combination of this colour on here. Something else this will do is it's going to pick up that green underneath it. So I'm just going to come in. I don't mind if it looks striped. That's not a problem to me. So I am actually batch videoing at the moment, because if I'm going to pull my jelly plate printing stuff out of the drawer to jelly print, then I might as well try and film 2 or 3 videos in one go. And the only problem with that is, however, I sometimes forget which order things are in, so you may be seeing this before I've seen something else, so I apologise if they're out of order, which I don't think they're going to be. I'm hoping that the digital numbering that happens will keep me on track, but you never know. When it comes to the editing stage, I could quite easily go off on a tangent, and it's like, squirrel, and Ceri's gone again. Right, this is going to clean this up quite nicely. I'll pull this all the way through. Okay, I like that. That looks almost tartan now. It's giving me something interesting. So that goes to one side. So we're beginning to build. I'm going to bring this one up again now. I'm going to clean this jelly plate off a bit, because I don't need all of that colour on there. I'm going to put it onto my roll-out pieces over here. I'm just cleaning the roller off, braid off over here. I might actually just print it directly onto the piece of paper. It might lift most of it off, as it did. There you go, it's all nice and clean. So we used the mushroom, and now this one needs a little bit of work. It needs more interest on it. Now I try to think almost in colour families when I'm doing backgrounds, and then when I'm doing the upper details I go for contrast or harmonics in the colour ranges. So I'm thinking I quite like to add some lilac to this to really change its character, and I might do lilac and white, so that I've got a bit of a contrast on here from side to side. Don't want too much, just want a bit. And that means I might end up then using violet or deep purple as the accent colour. So again, just kind of come in on the side. But I do like to use up all my 12 by 12s. There is actually a playlist here called, I think it's called Using 12 by 12s on my channel, and it's basically how you can turn them into ephemera bases or other useful things for journaling. But I do like to use them for backgrounds, because they're good cardstock. It just happens to be that when you buy them, you don't always get a combination of things that you really want. Do you see what I mean? It's just, you can't always guarantee that you're going to like every page in every bit of a 12 by 12 that you buy. In fact, it's very rare I find something in a 12 by 12 where every single piece is something I love. So right, we're kind of almost there with the backgrounds in my consideration. And then after we've got the backgrounds, we'll start looking at details. Okay, I don't mind that. That's okay. Actually, maybe I can just pull off bits of this just to give it a little more interest, just by pressing it down a bit further. I was trying not to press it too hard, but maybe I should have pressed a little harder than I did. So let's just see if I can get the whole thing printed out again. Just giving it a little bit of a firmer press. The drier your paint becomes, the harder it is to get an image off. Okay, I'm okay with that. That's nice. When you remember what the background used to look like, which was this sort of candy floss pink pattern, then I think we've done well with that one. Right, so let's take a look at what we've done so far, and then I'll see what we can build and add to it. So we have this one that's already well on the way to being decorated. We have our one that I thought looked a little bit like tartan. We have this green jungle type one, which I actually quite like, so that's probably going to be featured quite heavily in something in the future. We have this green one, which I think needs quite a bit of work, to be honest, to bring that back into the fore. And we have the lavender, lilac, whatever one you want to call that we were working on. So, right, there's stuff on the plate. Doesn't matter to me. I don't think I need to clean that off. I think that'll be fine. Right, let's have a quick think of what I want to do. Now, there are a couple of things that I haven't used. If you watch the jelly plate draw what's in it video, you'll find I actually mentioned I had a whole load of these from my cake decorating skills. They're texture mats, and I've not used them because they were at the bottom of the drawer. So I'm wondering whether I want to play around with one or two of these and see whether I can get, I want to have a look at that one. Let's put that to one side. I want to see what they do, because if I'm giving them room in the drawers and they're not going to work, then they might as well go in the bin, because they're taking up space that could be given over to something else. So I've got this one, which is a kind of rose design, and I'm not really sure what it's going to look like. So let's think, what one do I want to do now? Okay, let's look at the last one we did, which is this one. I think I'm going to go really brave, and I did say I was going to put purple on that, but I think I'm going to go to magenta instead. So I've got this processed magenta colour. I'm going to put a bit of on there just so that I don't overladen this, because what I'm going to do is I want to use this area to lift off from. So I'm going to put my colour on here, and then I'm going to use that texture mat to subtract from this area. And I might use a few other texture things as we go along, but this is kind of interesting. I just want to see what it looks like. So there you go. So I've got that ready to go. And if I come in and I lay this down, or lie it down, I don't know what the correct English is, and I'm British, so there you go. There's one thing I don't like, it's the fact that it's moving around, but okay, I'm not sure it pulled up much, but mustn't judge a book by its cover. Maybe there is stuff on there and I'm just not seeing it. So, okay, there's stuff on the back of there. Let's see if I can put any of that onto the labels. No, I just ended up with little dots. I've got a feeling this one may not work. Okay, let's see if we're being rewarded for being brave. As I said, if these don't work, then that's fine with me. I know they don't work, but having them sit in my drawer unused is not helpful to me. So let's see what this gives us. No, there's little tiny bits of spirals here. I don't know that I would call that a success, but it does make an interesting background. Okay, so I'm going to put that one back over here, away from the others. Right. Let's see, what other ones have I got. I do quite like pink and teal together. Just want to see whether I can pull anything off this as a ghost print. I'm not sure. I think I may have left it a little bit late, or left the paint on here a little bit longer than needed. See what comes up from this one. This is pretty much just cleaning the plate off. Okay, I don't mind that. That's okay. It looks a bit distressy. That's fine. Now, what do I want to do with this over here? I've got some left on here. Let's just add a little bit to this, and I'll just clean off that smaller jelly plate for myself, and just give that a bit of a press to pull that off there. So the brayer I'm using, by the way, is, I don't know if you see it, Speedball. I find it's the best one for me. It's got a softish roller. I think they come in hard and soft, and I can't remember which one I bought. So, but I like it anyway. Okay, that cleaned off that plate well. Okay, what's next? This one needs help. Definitely needs help. It's lacking. In so many ways it's lacking. I think I need to give this a punch of yellow. Maybe a punch of gold. Is that gold? This is another one of those pots where I've added other colours to it. Let's go with some gold. Let's see what I can do in here. And what I might do is I might do one more layer on this one, and then it'll be a case of, after that, we'll start looking at stencils and how we can add detail, because all of them, bar the tartan one, have now got some sort of pattern on them. I mean, the tartan one's got a bit of pattern within it, obviously, but I just want to make sure that there's something interesting on each of them. So, right, I'm going to come in, and what I'm doing is I'm just letting it touch down and I'm lifting it off. I don't want a huge amount on here. As you can see, I just want that sort of hint of gold on it. And I think I'm going to do the same with the pink one that we used earlier. A little bit of that would never go any harm on here. There you go. That's just got a bit of a kiss of gold to it. Let's put it that way. And as we've got that plate there, I'm not sure I'm going to get any more off it, but we can always try with this last pull here. Pull that up. And there's a hint. I'm okay with a hint. That's fine. Right, well, those are drying. Let's take a look at the one which just ain't working. So I ain't how bad of an English is that, Griffiths, that really isn't working for me. Okay, I need to think of somehow rescuing that. Now, this didn't work. This was okay, but it wasn't punchy enough. So what we need to do is we actually just need to come in and change the entire background if we can. And I think I'm going to go a little bit wild. I'm going to use some red on there. And maybe an orange because there's orange on here already. So let's just see what we can come up with. Oops, that's another one I haven't shaken. I'm really bad at doing that. I assume the paints are ready to go, and obviously they're not ready to go. So I think the next video I'm filming for you guys, by the way, is going to be working with found items. That's white. What am I doing? Is going to be working with found items or items around the home. So I think that's the next one on my list to film. I've got a few new things for this video, which when we come to doing details, you'll see. Yeah, I think I'm going to like this colour a lot more. Now what I'm going to do, and you've seen me use them before, let me just get this on here. Let's roll that off and see if I can even the orange out a little bit so it blends. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in this impression mat. Now you've seen this before, and I said I will be showing you how I make them, and I will definitely be showing you how I make them. So that's one pull of that. It's not meant to be a continuous design, so if the diamonds don't match up, that also doesn't bother me in the slightest. So, and I've just pressed that off onto the label sheet just to get off the excess stuff, which is fabulous. Right, that's on there. I'm now going to come in here and put that onto here, which will change the character of this piece of 12 by 12 cardstock incredibly. I can guarantee it's going to look so different to what it did before. So guys, if you're working with something you don't like, don't abandon it, just change it. And if it gets to the point where it is really, really muddy and you hate the thing entirely, then you know what? See, that is fabulous. If it changes to the point where you really, really hate it, then put it by and don't use it. And maybe in a future one, I'm going to use the pink one, see if I can get anything off there. And maybe in a future jelly session, you may have a bit of something on your jelly plate and you go, oh, I could just clean that off on there, and you'd be surprised what you end up with. Right, not sure how much it's going to lift off on this. Okay, a little bit. That's good, that's subtle. Trying to get subtlety into jelly printing for me is always a bit of a challenge. I'm looking at this one again, and I quite like the fact there's diamonds and there's diamonds. But what I want to do is I want to knock this back into the background slightly and have those diamonds overlay the front of it. So I want to pick a pale colour, but I don't want a colour that absolutely just washes that out. Let's see, what can I do? I mean, I have this colour, which is almost like a buttermilk colour. I've used it before and I really love this colour. So let's put, again, I want a thin coating of acrylic on here because the thin coat will enable me to lift off the other detail, which on here by now is dry. I don't mind if it's patchy, this yellow, because again, that's another layer of visual interest. And this again is going to change the character of this, and I'm going to turn it so that the diamonds go in the opposite direction on this one. Not that anyone's checking, but it'll just make another bit of interest. So if there are any air bubbles under your paper, just do circle actions just to work them out to the edge. I must admit, I was considering buying another one of these and seeing whether I could put side-by-side plates so I could have one drying while I'm working on the other for these videos, but I really don't think I'd be able to get them on my table and be able to film them at the same time. So, sorry, I've sort of given up on that idea. Okay, that's given me a bit of interest. It's looking more grundy now, more patina-ish, and I think it's patina because of this colour. So, right, that's going down there. Okay, so the only background I'm not really overly fond of at the moment is this one. This needs something, and then after that we're going to go and try and put the upper details on, because we're already only at 25 minutes left to go, and I'm really concentrating on making this one work. Right, sorry, disappeared for a moment. So I got this, which is another one of those boards that I've made. Now I've got green on there and I've got gold on there. I could go down the blue route. If I use my colour wheel and I look opposite, it's telling me to go to reds or maybe to go to pinks. Don't know whether pink would have been my first choice. I think it might be a bit, oh my gosh. However, I do want to put something on there that's a bit contrasty. Sorry, I've got all my paints over here. I can't include them on the screen because I can't fit them on the screen, to be honest. Not with everything else that's going on. I'm having a look and see what's in the paint box. I want something. I wonder. Let's use some pale blue. What is this? This one's actually sky blue. I think this is just sky blue. I tend to decant bottles into things, so that looks a little darker than sky blue to me, but maybe we'll add a touch of white to it. If you are going to do this system, by the way, or do this as an art form, if you're buying white acrylic paint, buy lots of white acrylic paint. You will go through a lot of acrylic paint. I can absolutely assure you. And you don't need a lot to do it, but you will get carried away. I do all the time. I tend to find that I didn't mean to do 25 pieces of 12 by 12, but I've ended up with 25 pieces of 12 by 12 because it becomes very, very addictive. Right, I think that's enough of that. So I want to come in with this. Now this is just, again, a random bit of pattern that I've made. I'm going to turn it around so that it doesn't look like it's repeated, because it's certainly not a repeating pattern. It's as random as I can get. There you go, that gives me interest on there. Now, I might pull a bit of a ghost off that, or I'm going to come in and just lift pieces of it off, just so that there's less coverage for the whole thing. Okay, that was just quickly throwing that on there. Now let's get this on there and pick up other elements of it. And when we're doing that, I mean, there you go, that was just a plain piece of paper 2 minutes ago, so that's an interesting thing that's gone on there. Right, let's pull that off and see what I've got. Hopefully I haven't made mud again. I make mud quite often. Actually, I'm liking that even more now. I think this is going to just need maybe one element to finish this one off. So I'm going to put this to one side. In fact, looking around the floor, I think most of them are almost ready for the final element stuff. So what are we going to use to do the final elements? Right, I just received through the post this. It was a big old stencil. It's got a bit of a dent in it, which really annoys me, but it was a 12 by 12 stencil. I want to say I got it on eBay, and I want to say I couldn't tell you where I got it if you paid me. So I'm going to use my brayer just to make sure it's fully in contact with the underneath, with the jelly plate. Hopefully when I take it up it doesn't tear. It is quite a substantial stencil though, so I'm not overly worried, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to stencil through this with colour, take it off, and then take the print from that. So I think we need to work out which one it's going to belong to. And I'm looking at this one, and I'm thinking if I went with a brown or a black, that would look absolutely phenomenal. And actually, that's not brown enough. That doesn't look amazing. I could use a gold. I could use a copper, actually. Copper's too close, it wouldn't be seen. I mean, my gut is I want to do black, which is fine, but it's going to be a really dramatic punch of colour. Maybe a violet. Purple. I think purple. Right, we're going to go purple. So what I intend doing is I'm going to roll it onto here, then roll it onto there. That way my brayer won't be overloaded. It also means that as I'm brayering onto here, if my brayer isn't overloaded, I'm less likely to put colour under the stencil. And if I don't get a perfect impression, I'm also not worried about that. I'm just looking to, in fact, sorry, I didn't finish that sentence, did I? In fact, I'm looking for something that maybe looks a little less than perfect, because I'm hoping to get that whole vintage feel to this. Right, that comes off there. Now this is where I need to lift this off gently. Let's pop that straight up there and get straight in. That's only a really thin layer of paint on there, so you've got to move reasonably quickly. I'm going to give it a good old rub down just so that it stays in contact, or becomes in contact. There's probably going to be a partial print come off this. I'd love it to be a whole one, probably a partial, and it's probably going to leave something behind it, but that's also interesting to me. So let's see if we can pull this up. Oh, I'm so loving that. Okay, that one is done, guys. We'll look at them all later, but that, I'm loving that. That works. That was a really good investment, that stencil. I'm loving that. That's going to be kept to one side. It's finished. That can just sit over there. Right, now, there's not really a lot left on there. What is on this, however, so I'll just give that a bit of, I just rubbed it with my hand. Wonder whether I can actually just put this onto here. Being really gentle, because I don't want to bend any part of this, but obviously there's paint on this, and I want to try and get it off there and not waste it. Now I'm wondering whether I might just pop it directly onto here, because that's sort of a cleanup piece. So let's just lift this off. Don't know what that's going to look like until I pull it off there. Could be awful, could be fabulous, it could be the best thing I've ever done in my life. So right, I've got that down there. Let's put, I don't clean my stencils. If I wanted to clean my stencils, I would have a bowl to one side and a full of water, and I would just drop things into it. So right, it's getting very dark and overcast here, guys. I think we're in for rain or a storm, and I've got washing on the line, so let's pray it's not rain. Let's pray it's not a storm either. Wow, loving that. Okay, right, I'm going to put that at the top. That's my cleanup one. I'd like to do something around the edges, but it's an unintentional piece, that one, so I'm just going to clean up this mat here. Just get this off my smaller jelly plate, and then we need to look at another one of them, because I just want us to get moving. So, right, what's next? I think this one is next. Now this one to me is just screaming out for black. There's a time when black is the right colour, and I think that is the right colour for black. What am I going to do on it though? I think I might do this. This is something I made a while ago. It's just rings of fun foam put onto here, but it might be a nice element. And I'm not thinking the whole thing, I'm thinking just down one side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that on there. Where's the black? And I'm going to put the black on the mini gel plate. Well, it's not mini, it's just a smaller gel plate. And I'm going to use it as my stamping pad. So I will lift the colour off there. And as you see, it's not a million miles off the right width. And it's not a million miles off the right width there. So I'm not worried about details like that. But I just want you to see that it's all possible, right? There's enough on the brayer so I can redo it if I need to. Right, I'm going to give this another quick roll. And do another pull, and then come in here and just press that down on there, and all that's doing is transferring. It's not going to give me perfect circles, it was never meant to, but it will give me that. And I'm wondering whether I'll just turn this around, see if I can put another piece down this side. Hopefully I haven't ruined this just by doing this. Okay, I like that. That makes that more interesting. I might pull in some of these mandalas I bought previously and see whether I can just my trouble is when I do stuff is it's very hard for me to do random because I'm OCD, so it doesn't help really, does it? Right, I think that's that one almost done. I can't believe how dark it's getting. Okay, I think that one may need something, but I'm quite happy to leave that at the moment and consider that one almost done. So right, I've got black on here. Do I need black on anything else? Possibly. Let's bring this little one back in and just lay it on the plate. And I've got a thin one of these that I made when I made the thick one because I made it too big and I just wanted to take an off cut. And I'm going to see whether I can just add little bits of something around the edges of these. So see, you don't always need a stamp, you just need something you can stamp with. And as I said, in the next video, I think we're going to be looking at household items that you can use or things you find in the dollar or the pound store. Okay, I think that's enough of that, but that's actually added something nice to that. Now what I might do is I might just brayer this onto the mat. And see if we can't get a thin print of something onto something else. And I'm kind of thinking I'm liking the whole mandala thing I've been working on. So where are they? I've got some of them, they were part of a kit. I haven't actually measured these. I don't know whether they all fit onto a 12 by 12. Oh, I think they're going to. That nudged up just slightly. I don't mind if I have a black edge around the outside, that'll be fine. I'm going to pull this one in. It's this one that I was a bit hesitant about. I'm going to see what I can get off of this. Now this paint was a really thin coating and it's probably dried while I was looking for something else. However, I may just be able to lift enough off this to give me sort of an antique-y, vintagey sort of look to this. There you go, that's exactly what I was looking for. I think that's pretty much done as well. Right, these can come off. And they will have left something on there. A gift for us, should we call it. So let's just put that there. Now I'm not going to touch it. I want that to dry for a bit. I do need to clean off my mat, or my other jelly plate, should I call it. And just get that bit off there. I'm also cleaning my brayer at the same time, you'll note. Well, I think that's fine. There's a little bit of something on. I think I want to clean this brayer because I've got an idea of what I want to do, and I don't really want it to turn grey when I do it. So I'm thinking I want to, as I'm letting that dry, I want to let that have a few minutes just to dry out, so that if I put paint over the top of it, it won't smudge it. And what I'm thinking is I want to come in, I think I might want to use this one, which I really liked. And what I want to do is I want to put something on the back of this to lift this off. Let's get really clear the decks. Sorry, I'm having a moment. I've lost. There's the gold. Okay. I want to put the gold over the top of the black outlines that are on there. And I've got a feeling, because metallics don't spread incredibly well when you roll them out, they take quite a bit of work, that the gold is going to be slightly patchy, and in doing it, it's going to lift off the colour underneath it. Now, I'm probably going to pull in a piece of paper just to pull the top level of this off, because I don't want this thick. As I said, once again, I've actually ended up putting on too much. So let's just pull in. I'm just going to pull this one in. This is one that never made the grade. Just going to sit it down enough to just pull a little bit of it off. That makes that really opulent. Then I'm going to come in with this one, and it's not really a ghost print. It's actually a print, but I did take the top layer of ink off, the top layer of acrylic off. So right, that's on there. Let's sit for a second. Now I think this one, the cleanup one we've just done, I think if I just added a little bit of something to this, this would be finished as well. So it's going back on the shelf, because there's a shelf over there where things go that aren't completely finished. Okay, did this give me anything? It didn't give me what I wanted, but there are really subtle hints within there of the stuff I really did want. So let's put that to one side. I'm wondering, let's just see if I can get any, let's see if I put the blue one down, see if I can get anything off this as an extra pull. As I said before, I think my cleanup ones are sometimes my favourites. Up you come. Oh. Okay, that was exactly what I wanted to happen on that one, and I don't know why it didn't. This one is done. This is a cleanup sheet, and I love that. I love the fact that we've got that really busy, complex, and I like the way we've got that in the background too. So that's that one done. I think we've done all the ones we're supposed to do, but I'm going to continue and do one more thing on this one, because I think I'd like it to have one more thing on it. What that thing is, I do not know, people. Let's see, what do I think that needs? I'm so tempted with black, but I keep going to black all the time, and I do think it needs, what is that? That's Tuscan red. I didn't like that red the last time I did it. That's cadmium red. I thought I had a crimson here somewhere. I guess I don't have a crimson here. Maybe I bought the cadmium red instead. I think I want to do cadmium red. What do I want to do with it is the big question. I think I want to make up a design. So let's put that one down there. Is that straight? Kind of has to be, because that's the straight edge of that. I'm thinking sort of kind of maybe Moroccan type feel to this. You know what I mean by like repeating pattern and stuff like that. So I'm literally using my stencils as masks. I know I need to put pieces in. Let's just... There will be areas I'm going to have to mask off, like that bit there. Let's just use one of those up there. Hopefully I'll be able to get the paint on here without getting it all over the place. I think that's probably too small of an area. I think I'm just going to cover that with stuff, right? Okay, I've got some post-it notes here, and I'm just going to use post-it note or sticky paper, sticky note, post-it notes. What do you call these things in your country? I mean, they're post-it notes to me. Let's put it that way. Sticky notes, I think that's what they used to call them in America. So I used to live in America, guys. That's why sometimes when I'm talking, I tend to use American words instead of using British words, because I've lost the plot. I lived there for, well, I lived there and sort of worked out of America for about 14 years. And you do get the culture. I mean, it's easier to say the words that they're expecting to hear when you're in another country than actually trying to explain all the time why you've got a different accent or you're saying a different word to them. So, and that's not being derogatory in any way, shape or form to the people who you're living with. It's just sometimes it just makes it easier to use the language. Oh, stuck the post-it note there, all on its own. So I don't want a perfect, absolutely 100% print off this. I just want a hint of these patterns to overlay. So, and I need to move relatively quickly because everything is drying. So I just need to pull these off and get that piece on there before these dry, because this is a thin layer of paint on there and I'm likely to lose it if I don't work quickly. So sorry if I'm slightly off screen. I'll move it back in for the reveal, I promise. Right, I'll move it back in now. So now I've got it on there, I'm going to let that sit, or cook as I like to call it, for a few seconds. Just like clean up other things here. Get that sorted out. That can go in the bin. This can be done. I think we're actually going to finish on time for once. I think I've only got 2 or 3 minutes left before the hour is up. And for once I've managed to do it. So let's turn my brayer up the other way. Okay, right. Fingers crossed, guys, that I've actually improved this, not destroyed this. I think that is fabulous. Okay, that's perfect. Well, it's not perfect, but it's pretty flipping good. I'm just going to, this is a bit of clean up paper I had down there. I'm just going to clean up my plate just while we're finishing up. So we've used stencils yet again. As you can see, I love using stencils. I used some of the Mandela wooden carved stamp pieces. I used one of those textured backgrounds. I'm going to continue to work my way through those because, as I said, if they don't work, they're going out. I'm not going to have them in my drawer all the time taking up space. That's just, it would be silly to do that. Okay, I pulled some of that off. This is just a clean-up sheet anyway, so I'm not worried about that. Let's put that to one side. So as far as where are we at with the labels, this is as far as we got with the labels. Obviously when these come off, they're interesting little pieces of art, and there is a video where you see I stamp them and I do more on them and I put marks on them, so that's cool. What did we produce today? This one, and I absolutely adore that. It's going to be a shame to cut that down, so you never know, I may not cut that one down. That's just beautiful, and I just love it. It's gorgeous. Next in the list became this one, and I like the fact that I can still see part of the curls and swirls in the background, but when you remember what that started out like, I think that was a really good save, and it meant that we didn't waste that piece of paper. That piece, I love the way it turned out these colours. It's quite metallic patina-ish. I mean, if that was a metallic black, that would really pop, but I'm not going to meddle with it because I like the way that looks. This was one of the cleanup sheets and a complete surprise. Now, some of you are probably looking at it going, that looks an utter mess. I think that looks utterly gorgeous. I mean, it's just, I mean, that might become one of my new journal covers. I'm not sure. I love that. How many did we do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I thought we did another one somewhere. I can't find it though. Oh, we did. I haven't done this one. Okay, we'll have to do a rescue in a minute. So we have that one, which I also loved. So that was a cleanup sheet, I think. That's why I got confused. We had a cleanup sheet that I've actually incorporated in there. Right, I need to do something with this, and I need to do something with this quickly. So I need to make that pop. So let's have a quick look at the old colour wheel I use. That says it needs to be round about here. So I'm thinking, right, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use burnt sienna. Is it burnt sienna? It is burnt sienna on here. And I'm going to do the technique where I use this to leave marks on here. I'll lay that down there. Can you see this? Yes, you can. I really thought we were finished. There's me. Really happy with what we had achieved, and we hadn't achieved it. So I'm not going to do the whole length of this because I want kind of a repeating pattern in here. And I want to turn this 90 degrees because I want to make these crisscross each other. And one more pull, or one more print, should I say. I think we're done. There you go. Right. A bit of a hasty one, but actually I don't mind that either. It's interesting. It would never be the foreground, but it could be the background. So there you go, guys. That's that done. Thank you for joining me. I think in the next video we're going to look at items you can pick up in the dollar store or found items, just stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's things like, okay, just as an example, we recently bought curtain poles, and these were the things that held the curtain pole in place. So I could, let's just show you a quick example. So I could come in and actually just use this to stamp and add pieces of interest in. So, I mean, we'll be doing stuff where you don't spend money, you just hunt through your garbage. So hopefully you enjoyed that, guys. Hopefully you're enjoying the fact that we are doing this, but we're doing it and learning as we go along. So until next time, it's goodbye from me, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye now.